Welcome back to the most professional StarCraft 2 with a 9-time GSL champion, the Terran in the blue, the man, the myth, the Maru. Facing off against the fastest player in the game, the Zerg in the red, the Italian stallion. We have Reynor. In a best of 5, Terran versus Zerg showdown between two of the most aggressive players in the game. And before they're allowed to demonstrate it already, it'd be awesome if you could smash that like button and maybe even subscribe. Help me count at the algorithm. And Jimmy, what are we at? Yes, of course he's Zerg rushing. 1,677 likes on this video, on this cast. And I'll cast another one. And I'll probably do it anyways, because I don't know what else I do with my life. But thank you for watching. Hopefully you've had a good day so far, and hopefully it's about to get just a little bit better. As both players off to the races, a Roach one in production, 2 Reapers at a time. Maru will spot the hatch first and back off, but he doesn't know the magnitude of danger that Reynor is bringing to the table. In fact, he's creating what some might call a zone of danger to start this game out. But the Roaches don't have to be all in. The options are there. I think he's trying to preempt any shenanigans out of Maru, and he's already done a pretty good job of it. As Maru clearly playing a lot more careful here. Checking every corner, looking for any outlying bases. And the Roach, nope. Just no. Not even bothering with this. Heading home already. A Ravager is on the way. And Reynor could plank down the natural wall. Or, well, you already see it. 2 drones in production. The threat of the Roaches is enough to keep Maru at bay, and has effectively zoned out this early Reaper build. Now Maru has to gauge Reynor's commitment. Okay? Is he going to go all in, or is he just teasing me? Or however you'd like to phrase it. But right now, don't talk to me or my son ever again. My son has put on some weight lately. Please, don't shame him. He costs 100 gas now. But the Roach and Ravager, was that it? 2 Roaches, 1 Ravager. That's it. But that's all it took to keep the Reapers back at home. Now, they're inside the mineral line. Pick off one of the drones. The Queen gonna politely yet firmly ask them to leave. The Ravager, not nearly as polite, and also not firm. Just kind of, you know, bubbly. But, moving on. Cyclone is on the way for Maru. The most direct response to a handful of Roaches. But now realizing he saw the 3rd base, he saw the 3rd hatchery, which means that Reynor, he pretty effectively bamboozled him. Maru, though, is opting for Mag Field Accelerator, the Cyclone lock-on damage upgrade. The Cyclone lock-on already incredibly dangerous, especially to lower amounts of Zerg, or, you know, Overlords, which, well, yeah, it's a Cyclone. That's valuable scouting information. Overlord's taken down, but knowing there's a Cyclone at all already narrows down the option. Always going Mech. Maru is taking us to McDonald's with a big Mech opener, a Hell Clone start, and a Barracks Lord on its way across the map. Just better than an Overlord in every way. It flies faster. Terran buildings are slightly faster than Overlords without speed. It has way more HP, and it just looks way better. All right, less smelly, and who's writing this? I don't. But it does not give supply, so I guess there's that. Makes it less of a liability. Now, as soon as Reynor sees that barracks, that is not just a tell that he's going Mech. That is a shining billboard. That is like a firework and a plain sky writing, I'm going Mech! But then again, Mech players do have a tendency to make that their entire personality, so that's not really a unique experience. As another Overlord will be taken down, but Reynor going to get hard supply blocked at a very key time. Another kind of half-and-half push. Something that could become very dangerous, but is likely just enough to keep map control. As 3 Cyclones, 2 Hellions, a Reaper, and 3 Marines might sound like a fun, like, ensemble cast, but shouldn't be enough to get too much damage done. But Mag Field is already completed. And with that ridiculous amount of damage, just grinding right through the Roaches, knocking him out so easily. And until Roach Speed is done, even on creep, with the help of the Barracks Lord for vision, the locks won't break nearly as easily. And he might be able to pick off an inordinate amount of Roaches and Ravagers. Reynor does have 57. He's even making more drones behind this. The Queen's impressed by the sheer girth of the barracks, are clearly distracted by it, which, you know, They like big barracks and they cannot lie, but while I appreciate the honesty, they maybe need to be a little bit more active participants. Another queen, though. Locked on and not quite taken out. Gotta be careful not to step on any creep tumors on the way, take too much damage, but the Cyclone still brawling it out with the Roaches and Ravagers. But this should not be the end. Unless Reynor makes a massive mistake or Maru blunders into the Roaches, it's going to be all about the follow-up. Behind it, there's more factories on the way. An armory. Is that a first or a second armory? The first armory. Trying to knock out some of the overlords as well. But now that roach speed is done, oh, we got burrow. Going to try some cheeky burrow plays. Okay. Reynor, trying to pull the old peekaboo trick. Where do the roaches go? It still kind of worked. It kills off a couple cyclones, and roaches heal incredibly fast underground as they're natural introverts, but so far, Reynor, despite the painful experience of getting ping cushioned by some massive rocket pods from out of range, the Cyclones are fragile creatures. Okay, they specialize in avoiding social interaction, much like most Terrans. So, with 2 armories on the way, Maru has to be very careful. He's at the most brittle stage of going mech, which is when you don't have your production online, you don't really have the upgrades, and you don't have a 4th base secured. Until he gets a 4th command center landed and can reliably mine from it, Maru is in a position where he can't rebuild very quickly. The sheer infrastructure cost of going for 5+ factories, now he's going to siege tanks, getting some upgrades as well. It is a lot of investment that has not yet paid off. Reynor, on the other hand, you can throw roaches and ravagers. Well, maybe not so much ravagers, but you can throw roaches out there for days. They're aptly named. So, for now, and I think Reynor actually did a great job of mitigating the damage. Yeah, he's lost 27 roaches and very little else. Which, it hurts, it's painful, it's gruesome, it's great entertainment. Like and subscribe, but it is not going to cut too much into his time. He's already going to get... Has he started the hive? No. Starts a hive at 8.5 minutes, which is not too late in the grand scheme of things. Most hive rushes are 7 to 8 minutes, so considering how much has already happened, the fact it's only a minute and a half behind that, not bad at all. He's got a baneling nest on the way, melee attack. Vipers are going to be an absolute premium early access platinum pass option, especially against a Terran who, unless they've really upgraded those cloaking devices, is almost certainly not going to have ghosts. More factories on the way for Maru. He's moving into the heavy metal, though. He's not staying with the Hell Clones, but instead opting for siege tanks, that Brood War style mech. Like back in my day, they used to go back. Grandpa? We don't need to hear from the mech supremacists, okay? I don't... God. I said they just don't stop sometimes. The Ravagers somehow miss a target as large as a barracks, which is approximately the same size as your mother, but eventually we'll take it down, though there's more on the other side. Zerglings. Ooh. Barracks will burn, though the Ravagers locked on. The Cyclones on the bridge. Approximately 4 Cyclones wide. 3 Infestors on the way. He's already got a couple on the field. Neural Parasite in production. He got Burrow right off the bat for those cheeky roach plays, so... Neural Parasite, if you can't beat him, hire him. And Neural Parasite could be an incredibly useful tool, because, of course, Maru does not have ghosts. Siege tanks are good, but you catch them in the right position. Wow, look at that spread. It's like crunchy peanut butter over there. The siege tanks dotting the field. The bridge is held. That is, we'll see if the Zerg break before the siege tanks do. Viper in production, adrenal glands. Reynor suffering from success, he's maxed out. But does not have much gas, so can't replace many of his key units very easily. 5 Cyclones at a time. Maru 13 siege tanks. And is now moving forward. He's maxed out as well. The Big Mech army. And not a single starport unit inside. I don't think he has a starport. Starports are for nerds, alright? All ground pounding here. And the ground is indeed getting pounded as the Infestors underneath it obliterated by the siege tank fire. Neural Parasite's optimistic at best. Fungal's thrown out, but the Zergling counterattack is where the real action is. The push will be undercut as Reynor finds his way into the base. He bribed an SCV to open the depot, and now will murder the rest of them. Fungal holds the line. Cyclone still ripping through. The siege tanks tear it apart. The Ravagers and the Lings. But back at home, Maru has lost 29 SCVs. An iron price is being paid right now to take out the tanks at the front. He'll knock another Viper out of the sky. A costly defense for Reynor. But he's gutting Maru's economy back at home. He took down the refineries, he burrowed the Lings in the base, and he cut off the potential reinforcements. The tanks, he still left the tanks on the other side of the bridge, and it looks like they'll be enough to hold. Reynor, it will be a defense and a counterattack, and to some extent, I think we can call it a victory. But over the last minute, almost 15,000, over 15,000 resources lost. Maru destroying slightly more gas, 121 Zerglings. Cleaning up some of the Zerglings on the other side. 23 roaches, 3. Maru killed 2 of his own siege tanks. Reynor picked up 7. I'm not sure what happens if you neural parasite one and then they kill it. They should both get credit. All right, team effort. That roach doing its, well, accurately named. But Maru's infrastructure is still mostly intact. He still has 8 factories. He still has 5 orbital commands. He's still building more command centers. Reynor does not have very much, well, he's in a bit of a precarious position. There's not much creep spread. Zerglings come in from the north. Blinding cloud on the siege tanks will stop the back line from pounding through the front, but the Cyclones are more than enough to pick up the small groups of roaches and Ravagers, and the Zerglings thinned out by the Hellbats on the front. Reynor, the supply gap now in favor of Maru, who has that massive and incredibly effective mech army. But some of the siege tanks get caught, unsieged and unprotected, scared and alone. Roaches and Lings in production. Reynor doesn't have enough larvae. He's making some of the cheapest units in the game, and he doesn't have enough larva production to continue it. He needs some power units out there, and he's adding in some more infestors. The Overlords will be caught out. He's actually going to be supply blocked at 176, which is incredibly unfortunate when you're trying to spam as many units as possible. But Reynor has managed to keep a lot of his infestors alive, and this game will be won or lost on their sneaky skullduggery. All right, it's his infestiny. We'll give that one another pass, Jimmy. But the Cyclones, he grabs them, and they're incredibly good against Cyclones. It also acts as a stun, keeping them within range so the Roaches and Ravagers can take them out. The one Cyclone... okay, guys. Well, that's what I thought. Maru even locks on to the Ravager. That Cyclone getting a surprising amount of kills after its experience as a Zerg. That Cyclone, 7 of 9. Well... carnage, butchery, a massacre, and metal scrap across the field. As both sides doing Reynor has lost 20,000 resources, Maru 17k. We're not even 15 minutes in. One of the most action-packed brawls I've ever seen. And we're not even close to a conclusion at this rate. Well, Maru's closing in. He doesn't have too much in the bank, though. There is an army with a lot of infestors here, and Maru doesn't have the siege tank count to really zone him out. Enough infestors, and you can just turn the Cyclones against one another. And begun the Clone Wars have. +3 missile attacks about to complete the Zerglings with +2 in adrenal glands. Finally has +1 carapace as well, though. Still not that helpful against most of this army. The bridge, it's caught. Corrosive bile. Cyclone eats a few big hits. Zerglings closing in, but Reynor getting picked apart. You really need to have a critical mass to stop the clones. Otherwise, they can just slice right through the Ravagers. Need like 3 or 4 roaches to each clone with plenty of... oh, no, no, no! Or yes, depending on who you're rooting for. But he's right underneath the siege tanks. Doesn't even bother with Neural Parasite is an interesting choice, but the scan, I think he noticed the infestors underneath. But there's not much he can do about it. Going back and forth on the bridge. He takes down the rocks, and Infestor is squeezed. Oof. The rocks will drop on top of one of them and cut off some of the army, but who's flanking who? Cyclones closing in. Corrosive bios scattered throughout the field. The Infestors behind. Still building energy. Most of them have enough for Neural Parasite. There's 6 orbital commands behind. Throws a fungal out. Holds the Hellbats down. Reynor still at 160 supply. Maru 145. But he's got 86 SCVs. That's actually too many. Only 1 siege tank. Target fires the infestors on the center mass, but it's not enough to stop the Neural Parasites. And Maru's siege tank line will be dismantled down the center. Reynor claims the bridge. A burrowed Zergling is preventing the landing of another orbital command. There's no units nearby. Maru running remarkably thin on units in general. 3 siege tanks, 6 cyclones, and dwindling fast as Reynor grabs a couple of the cyclones for himself. The infestor count is down to 4. I don't know if there's any more Neural Parasites, maybe 1 or 2. And sometimes that's all it takes. The cyclone freed by the siege tank, obliterating the infestor. And Reynor can't quite close it out. Back and forth we go. So far, Maru now catching 60,000 resources lost in 17 minutes. And, well, all gas and absolutely no brakes. And also all minerals. Every single resource is getting thrown into the fight. Into the meat and metal grinder. I was like, would you chill? Ugh. SCV trying to repair a burning orbital as it but big job, huh? Oh, wow. Typical contractors. I've got a schedule and I have to keep it, all right? You will literally die. Well, that's a risk I'm willing to take. Pre-scan. Didn't even bother checking. He just pre-scanned it, just in case. There's one Zergling on the right side of the map. Things are forced to slow down, as neither player has a bank, and their armies have gotten too dangerous. They simply cannot support the amount of production that they once enjoyed, though the economies are coming back online. Maru has 4,000 minerals per minute. Mule Mountain is climbing right now. He has 92 SCVs, which is arguably too many, especially considering he has 7 orbital commands. Well, I guess you can scan the entire map simultaneously at that point. Almost. And he spots the infestors, grabs a cyclone, but those infestors are dangerously close. Siege tank range is far outranging the neural parasite even. Though I guess the leash range is kind of grabs the cyclones. And, well, I don't know, Kev. Without Blinding Cloud, the siege tanks are annihilating everything on the high ground. Reynor, incredibly optimistic, but the siege tanks just obliterated the entire army. Wow, not a single siege tank died. 8 infestors, 22 roaches. He lost a dozen clones, but the tanks are still marching. Maru's methodical mech push is gaining momentum, but the Zerglings, without the Cyclones and Hellions in front, the Zerglings are able to pick it apart. The smallest unit can tear down the largest tank line if it's that spread out. There are too many gaps in the armor. 3-3 is done. He's building barracks. Is he going ghost now? Don't tell me he's just going to start making Marines. The SCVs will be intercepted, and Maru down 30 supply. Moving forward with the tanks was a mistake. The Ghost Academy and the Greater Spire are simultaneously in production as we scale up and, like, sideways on the tech tree. I'm not sure where you'd put the Ghost Academy. We're gonna, like, do up and to the side. Get your Prima strategy guides out. But Smart Servos, kind of surprised that Smart Servos didn't make a cameo appearance until now. The ability to transform Thor's Vikings and Hellbats more quickly. 4 ghosts at a time, 7 infestors. But Maru is not willing to give this up. He's getting the armor upgrade because the ghosts are essentially just wizards with guns, which sounds pretty cool, actually. But they're here for the snipes and the EMPs. Maybe nukes. I'm not ruling it out. But the Cyclones still zoning out. Maru struggling to max while Reynor is now pretty comfortably at 200. The Zerglings, but the door is shut. The ghosts are spotted. He should be able to hold the door for now. Meanwhile, the main push. Infestors underneath. No pre-scan here. Big mistake out of Maru, and it's gonna cost him all his Cyclones and the Siege Tank. Big win for Reynor in this fight. The Cyclones almost taking down the Orbital Command as well, as the Roaches and Lings take him out while they're neural parasited. Smart Servals is done. Maru, down to 57 SCVs. Reynor, still maxed out. A potential Broodlord switch. If Maru commits too heavily into the Siege Tanks, Broodlords could become... well, they could turn the Siege Tanks into a liability instead of a boon. But the Ghosts kind of counter... gestures wildly at Zerg. Another round of Zerglings. He's lost 500, which actually is pretty low. A lot lower than I expected opening that tab, but... the Ghost will easily take him out, though. Ooh, the Siege Tank's getting such big hits. Zerglings scattered throughout the field. There's another Barracks Lord out there on a pervert pillar, made for the Overlords, but, you know, the better cosplay. Corruptors on the way. More Hellbats out in front. Incinerating the creep tumors. The Zerglings not looking to get charbroiled. Ooh. Things slowing down again as the economy's starting to run thin. The first 3 bases are effectively mined out. That means only the outlying bases have real income. And those are much more exposed. Maru has maintained an income advantage, but has lost actually slightly more. He's lost 4,000 more gas, which has a tendency to happen when you lose 71 Cyclones and 36 Siege Tanks. But the map is finally starting to consolidate. As Reynor has taken his entire half and then some. 3/4 of the way to the 4-corner bingo strategy. He's got that top left as well, but here comes Maru with one more mech army. There's the Broodlords over to the right side, though. Cloak is done for the Ghosts. The drones caught on the run. Many of them going to be taken out. The Broodlords going to flap their way over, but they'll take quite a while to get there. Catches a few of the Siege Tanks out of position. But Maru with a pretty big win picking off these units, and now Thors are in production. Gonna take out at least 1 hatchery, might be 2, and he isolates the top left corner as well. The Ghosts, the EMPs on pretty much every single infestor, and the Fungals even missed the Ghosts. A huge swipe of EMPs, wiping out all the energy here. And are there enough Ghosts to challenge the Broodlords? The Cyclones can do okay, they're not great. In the main base, though, the Zerglings will intercept the first Thors. Take down one by the ankles. The bigger they are, the harder they fall. The Zerglings ripping apart the Thors as they come out of the factories. The Hellbats will clean them up. Everything all over the place. The Barracks Lord will scout the drones well, I don't think he needed to scout. That is, The losses continue to mount. Nearly 100,000. But Reynor has secured a more reliable income. He's finally... well... he will finally take down the barracks. Maru scans the bottom right corner. It's been mining for so long that it's starting to mine out, which is a good sign for Reynor right up until it isn't. Because he doesn't have much in the bank right now. This is, well, we're missing Liberator. Liberators are usually... has Maru played he has 1 star pool. Oh, he made medevacs for the Ghosts and also helpful for the Hellbats. Which is kind of hilarious, but... Reynor's down to 54 drones, but he's maxed out, which means he has greater army supply. The infestors have regained enough energy. Neuroparasite on one of the Thors. And we'll start... Oh no, Maru in a precarious position. The Thor will be taken down, I think, by the siege tanks with the broodlings at its feet. And is there enough anti-air? 7 cyclones, 8 ghosts, 1 Thor, and 1 Viking. Reynor has not really committed to the broodlords. He has 7 broods, just enough. Since you don't have the marines built into the composition like you would with a more typical bio strategy, there's not this built-in anti-air, which makes the broodlords an existential threat and forcing the level of respect that Maru is showing. These armies are so dangerous and so expensive. More Thors in production. They're still maxed out. 27 minutes in. Almost dead even supply throughout. This is the biggest banks I think both players have had throughout the entire game, which is absolute madness. We've reached the 100k mark of units lost. The Zerglings, trying to be very careful not to get caught. The Infestors. Hello, darkness, my... Infestor Broodlord is the ticket. The Broodlord's raining down. The Cyclones actually lock on to the Broods. We'll knock a couple out of the sky. Infestors coming around the corner. Looks like an EMP landed. And the Snipes attempting. The Terran army is breaking through. The Corrosive Bow's finding some damage mid-fight. It looks like every single Broodlord was knocked out of the sky. More Thors on the way. But still, the Ravagers and the Roaches underneath. The Infestors protected. Blinding Cloud. Thors pounding through the siege tanks. And suddenly Reynor turning the fight around. They can't see anything. And that means they can't stop it. Again, Maru wins the battle. But he's heading towards losing the war. He's stayed... Well, at that point, he didn't overstay. The fight wasn't even over by the time Reynor cleaned it up. But the neural parasite on the Thors, even without the Broodlords, makes all the difference. The Zerglings overrunning a huge clutch of SCVs. There are 30 of them here. Ripe for the Zerglings. The Thors caught. Changelings will block them in. And the Thors are taken down. Maru dwindling. He barely has any resources left. He's down 50 supply. And I think if he had the money, he could rebuild. But he simply does not. Reynor has survived. 61,900 to 61,400 resources. 800 Zerglings, 77 Cyclones. Maru. He's got the ghosts mixed in. The Vipers have plenty of energy. The Infestors. Borrowing the Thors and the Cyclones has been the most important part of the game so far. Drags in a Thor. The EMPs, he's looking for them. Throws them out. Actually catches the Infestors. The Hellbats on the front line lighting things up. Is there enough behind them? The Cyclones try to help out. Infestors will burrow, but the EMPs did land. Maru fighting with whatever he has left. Maru has 4 SCVs. The Zergling counter wiped out his entire economy. The Ravagers, but still Maru is fighting. And he still has an army that could do it. The Infestors, oh no, under the heavy fire of the Hellbats. The Thors are pushing through. He exits another Cyclone. The Roaches and Ravagers, he's making an Muta. The army's thinning out yet again. Some Zerglings coming around the back, reinforcing Hellbats. He picks up what he can. He tries to get out. The Thor! How is it still so close? But the Thor with it before the last Thor could be taken out. Maru taps out of the game. Reynor wins. 69,000 to 69,000 resources lost in one of the nicest games. An absolute bloodbath. Bolts flying everywhere. Bits and pieces of Zerglings. Almost everyone. With less than 100 supply at the end of the game, Reynor barely scratches out a victory. 40 drones, 10 times that of Maru's 4 SCVs. But if any of those fights had tilted slightly in another direction, it could very well be a different player on the victory screen. Okay, well, now what? That entire game was potentially all-in builds that never quite went all the way. From the very first Roaches and Reapers, all the way to the final attack. Every attack had potential to win the game. The first Cyclones, the first Neural Parasites, the Broodlords, the counter to Broodlords, and then more Broodlords. Game 2. Well. Maru adding in Ghosts at the last possible second, and then adding in Medivacs, which ended up helping out a lot. Reynor making Zerglings work against an army that's about as anti-Zergling as it gets. That is one of the harder parts of Mech, is not having that flexible composition. You can't just defend against things like you can by leaving 8 Marines at home with a medevac or having a bunker. Like, you can't just leave Hellbats, because what if they bring Roaches? And you can't just have siege tanks, because if they have so many Zerglings. The amount of supply and general cost to play defense is usually prohibitive. It's just too much. And that's why Reynor was able to get some counter damage. But at the same time, Maru just obliterating entire legions of Zerg and asking for seconds. I can't get over how many separate moments could have decided the game and just didn't. Because both of them managed to claw their way back. I do think Maru could have benefited from a few Liberators scattered in. Not necessarily to do damage, but just to keep Reynor busy so we couldn't concentrate on dealing with the army directly. Also, it kind of felt like a freestyle. That's the crazy thing. Like, I don't know if Maru even won. He went 2 racks. That almost always is for Marines and Medevacs. Yeah, there's a Reaper. I don't know. Shouldn't lose a drone. If he does, that's embarrassing. We all know that. All right, But I think as a maybe he won't expect this reaction, but it really felt like a distinct swerve into the Mech style. Not necessarily something that Maru hasn't done. Of course he's done that style before, but I don't think he intended on it there. But it almost worked out, only because Reynor is so incredibly tenacious, is why it didn't outright win. Honestly, that's one of those styles that I don't know if Serral could have handled it better, because it's just about keeping up with the incredibly cost-efficient units. What? Okay, never mind. I'm sorry, just throw that. Jimmy, just edit that out so I look smart. Maru is back. It's Mech again. Three factories. Now this seems more intentional. This seems more like this is the strategy from the start. You didn't go 2 racks at a ramp or anything. The factories are tucked in where they will not be scouted nearly as easily. We'll see what Maru intends to do with this Mech opener style. Reynor, like, there's no easy answer to the Cyclones. Very simply. All the answers are very expensive, one way or another. They're either a huge amount of units to overwhelm them, or well-controlled Infestors and Vipers. Both of which are expensive, both in attention, or resources, or both. The Overlord spotted it, right? Huh. He's oh my, he didn't see the gas either. He got this many pixels. This is, okay, this is like 5 pixels. This much. I don't know, unless you're watching on 4K, in which case this is like 100 pixels. Anyways, like and subscribe for more pixels. He got within yay pixels of seeing more factories, of seeing the gas. He doesn't know. Oh, but no, you can't go in. That's private property. Hey, hey, come back, Brenda. No, no, stop yelling. Start walking. I can do both. But... oh, no, it's a disaster. The Hellions, so many, burninating across the countryside into the main base. Oh, the drones, the drones. Oh, the Zerganity! It's all burning. Though so far, Reynor's done a pretty great job of mitigating the damage. I will say, I really thought we'd be looking at double-digit drones here, but 5. Okay, false alarm. It wasn't that bad. You were freaking out, Brenda. You were freaking out. Well, it was worthy of freaking. All right, we handled it. You were freaking out. Hey! That... yeah. Wow, that did way worse than I expected it to. Huh. 5 drones and 30 links for 12 Hellions? I mean, Reynor is still quite delayed on any sword attack. Maru has actually more SCVs, and he's going for Hell Clones. And it was actually Reynor who was on the receiving end of one of the very first Hell Clone builds back in the day with Gumiho. Zergling counter. Oh my. You might think Reynor's young now, but that was Reynor who couldn't participate in WCS because he wasn't 16 years old yet. Right? And Cyclones are even better than they were back in the day. Things have changed somewhat. But the more they change, sometimes the more they stay the same. The Barracks Lord, very helpful. Minimizing the need for all the scans. And Reynor here, he doesn't even have road speed done yet. The Hellion run-by was costly, but it is just minerals. He got so much production. He got past the production hurdle. And now, with the Hell Clones, the Magfield Cyclones, the Queens, gathering to throw all of their knitting needles to take it down. We'll just let it burn for now. A barracks, well, he's rebuilding a barracks because you can't build an orbital command without a barracks, which is kind of an important part of every imbalanced breakfast. So, yeah, gonna need one of those. Well, Reynor's actually still down 10 workers. He's built a whole lot of units, but he doesn't. It seems like even though I'm trying to sneak up on them. Not now, Brenda. We've done too much this game. There's never enough of me. Sorry. Kicked out for... Dropper Lord on the way. It's very easy to get locked into this Roach style against the Hell Clones. Which is great if you can put an overwhelming number on the field. But it feels like Reynor is underestimating the sheer magnitude of units he's dealing with at the moment. Wow. The entire main base, the production. Looking like Factorio over here. No, these are not nearly as clean of production lines as you need. Though probably good for funneling the biters. I mean, the Zerg. It's not even a speed overlord. Tunneling claws, burrow move roaches. The most annoying possible roaches. Trying to catch Maru off guard and may succeed in doing so. If he's able to catch even one group of Cyclones, that could be huge. Gets 1, 2, 3. I'm great at counting. And this has bought time for Vipers. The most important part. There are no ghosts. There's no Vikings. The Vipers. Absolute premium. Burrow moves so good at slipping behind the lines. And this is before Maru had that sort of excess money to be slapping down turrets, to be scanning left, right, and center. Okay, he has to deal with each of these roaches, and by the time he's able to move back across the map, the Vipers will be fully operational and filled with energy. Ooh. I'm sure this will do well on Dronely fans. No roaches and hydras. Roach, hydra, viper. It's an old strat, but it checks out. Near full energy. That hatchery at half HP, but well worth it. He needs to crush this army. And there's nothing that easily deals with these vipers. Only +1 armor right now, but only +1 attack for Reynor, so it's not like he's in a incredible position. He's likely going to lose this hatchery, but taking a great fight is the most important thing. Yanks in a cyclone. Yanks in more clones, but there's a bunch of siege tanks behind. He needs to deal with the tanks. There's so many siege tanks. Oh no, 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 no! He's coming in from both sides. Well, the blinding clouds are good, but the vipers are getting knocked out by the cyclones. And, oh, he has the high ground, Reynor. You overestimated your power. Maru just crushes everything on every side. The siege tanks may have had to take a visibility break, but it's at this time I'm asking for a Brood War pack of sounds so I can hear those beautiful siege up sounds. So that way the Zerg dying is even more dramatic. But Reynor has been broken. The Vipers can't save him now. Maru has 4 bases, 5... Oh, okay, he has too many bases. What? Maru is based right now. And no matter how much acid Reynor has, I don't think he can counteract it. It's too much. GG! Maru strikes back. Even though Reynor shut down the Hellions, it still delayed a lot of the tech, and Maru maintained the momentum. Also a harder map to outmaneuver. There's some direct lanes to one another, and Maru taking full advantage of that to minimize the opportunities. We're all tied up. It's so, like, that is it tilting the other direction. There. Even though Maru didn't have, like, a decisive early game, he got on his economy, he got on his tech up, and Reynor just wasn't able to really retake the initiative. Once the siege tanks get in position, you're gonna have a lot of trouble getting them out. They're like in-laws or random podcasts on your YouTube feed. Why this YouTube? Like and subscribe. Maganatho. Game 3. All tied up between Maru and Reynor. These two have made for some of the most dramatic games in the history of StarCraft 2. Maru always struggling outside of Korea, but the meme of Maru did not play well today, I don't think it's applying today. All right. At the World Cup. I don't think, well, obviously, Maru just won. No clear mistakes. Choosing to go Mech is not a mistake. It's a personality choice. Well, it's a build choice. I am surprised to see it twice, but honestly, it might be something he's been practicing. I'm still convinced Game 1 was... I'll just throw this out there. And maybe he's been practicing it more often. Forcing the Zergs, like, Zergs know the timings, all right? That doesn't mean they can stop them, but they know the timing, especially Marine Tank. They've dealt with it thousands of times on the ladder. It doesn't really matter what sort of exact flavor. Anything to throw Reynor off, because he's He's one of the most emotionally momentum-based players. When he's feeling good, he's feeling great. And when things are going bad, it feels like they just keep slipping downhill. Game 1 was a great demonstration of just keeping up the tenacity and how important it is. But Game 2, even though he shut it down, he never really got any aggression himself. And Maru is the preparation. There's a reason he's won 9 GSL. That sounds wrong to me. 9 GSL championships. But, yeah. Oh, we've been here a while, but... This is not a fad. This is not a mistake. This is a trend. This is trending right now. More factories. Here we go again. Lair is on the way. Reynor clearly looking to retake some form of initiative. What is he going to do with that lair? Is this a German taxi build? It's crazy to me. So Maru has barely built... The only time he built a starport was for medevacs for his ghosts. Which is... Maru gonna try to hit... Or Reynor gonna try to hit Maru before he really has anything. Magfield Accelerator is already on the way. A Dropper Lord in production. Is it... Where is it? Mass Zergling drop. But the Hellions, I think, are gonna spot this beforehand. Overlord speed is done. More Dropper Lords in production. And... Lady... Hey! There's space for all of us, all right? There's still an empty seat. We can spread out. Oh yeah, you'd like us to spread out, wouldn't you, Brenda? What does that even mean, Lucille? What does that mean? It's suggestive. It gets the people going. 3 queens, 1 overlord. Well, the overlords are spotted. Magfield not quite done. Blue Flame halfway there, but that's still a lot of Hellions. The SCVs are pulled off the line. The boys gonna be taking a lot of damage to start things off. And by that I mean 3. 3 dead. Now the queens are here. The Zerglings break through the wall. The queens will zone things out. He picks up into an overlord, which is a bit of a questionable decision, considering it just got taken down, but the queens are holding for now and may actually be the only thing that does real damage here. Maru has more SCVs. Despite all this, Maru has more SCVs. So... Oh my. Goes for creep tumors in the base. A couple Zerglings in the main. Maru now reacting to it, but these 2 Zerglings, the real heroes so far. Three Zerglings, I guess, but... The creep spread inside of Maru's base, or at least at the natural. The queens will make their escape. They will rule in exile. Is he gonna do queen drop harass? How do the Terrans like it? Clears up the creep. The queens in the main base. But I fear their reign will not last very long. As, wow. Magfield Accelerator. Both players hard supply blocked. As... So, Reynor only has 28 drones. That is the issue here. This was a massive commitment. Was it an overcommitment? There's some Zerglings ready to counterattack. May pick off another couple SCVs at the natural, but there's almost nothing. There's a spy. Oh no, the door's open! Oh, that changes things. He's actually hard-walled some of the Zerglings out. Reynor decides not to go any further. 6 SCVs dead. That is a lot better than he could have expected, especially with Blue Flame Hellions on the other side of things. So, this is about as good as it was ever gonna get. It's still... Well, Maru doesn't have a third command center. So, Reynor, there's no way he can hold on to his third base. It's already dead. A Zergling counter. Maru not falling for this one again. But he may still get some of the SCVs. Banelings with... he doesn't have speed. He can't have speed. It's way too expensive. If he can crush this army and drone up, that's what he needs to do. That's what he's going for. Zerglings against Blue Flame Hellions. Maru takes the detour. Down to the south, incinerates some of the Lings. Reynor expanded to the other direction. 20 supply lead. Same amount of SCVs. Reynor needs a miracle here. He's trying to make it happen, but right now Maru's making it happen. The hatchery taken down. The Zerglings just air fried. Reynor with the Italian GG. Clearly a bit frustrated by that one. And yeah, tough game. Definitely not the way that he wanted it to go. I think a little surprised that Maru was willing to commit to the mech again. You're not supposed... It's one of those, like, you pull out once, maybe twice a series. 3 times? That's right out. Yet Maru has never been one to, he rejects your metagame and substitutes his own. Let's put it that way. Maru on match point. Game 4. We'll be on Tokamak. Reynor. Does he do the overhatch? I think so. There's been, now that hatcheries are on a slight discount at $275 to make up for queens costing $175. We're still mad about that. The Zergs have been experimenting with slightly different, like doing the extractor trick to pump out an extra drone and then get a hatchery a bit quicker. So that way you can... So that kind of makes up for the cost of queens by having some more larvae early. It seems like most players have decided that doing an extractor trick, then making an overlord, then going for a hatch is the way to go. I'm not sure the math on it. I'm not here to do math, alright? I just know the numbers don't lie. And they spell disaster for Reynor if he's not able to adapt to this Mech Terran style. Will we do it again? Is Maru a Mech Terran now? Even Gumiho doesn't go Mech every game. And Gumiho really should be getting royalties for this sort of build. Gumiho actually didn't qualify for the World Cup this year. I think because many of the well, his Terran versus Protoss is, how do you say, not good. And he punches well below his weight in that matchup, despite having some ingenious strategies in the others. But this will decide it. Reynor. Not going for any early aggression. This is another long-term macro map. Honestly, I would have said Meganotha is also a long-term macro map, but Reynor was the one who decided to pull the trigger on the early all-in. So, we'll see if he keeps the safeties on for a little longer here. Multiple Marines. Reaper dancing. Picks off one lane. One factory. Red factory, blue factory. No, third command center's on the way. And Now's the moment. Will Maru build a second factory or a starport? I really didn't think he'd do it again. Wow. Mech Terran great again. Grandpa! Just because Maru's doing it doesn't mean it's okay. No, now I can really say what I mean. Grandpa. Get off Facebook. I don't... The Overlord hanging out by the exposed Frostpunk core over there. Frostpunk 2 was such a disappointment. And I'm a big fan of winter games, personally, but... I don't know. I didn't like Frostpunk 2 nearly as much. I don't know if they've updated it at all, but this felt too impersonal. I like knowing when people died because of my poor decisions. I mean, 1,000 deaths is a statistic, but 10? That's a tragedy. Same goes for Zerglings. And so far, so many have struggled in this series. But I think the Overlord is gonna see it. That's so important. Last game, well, he didn't have any info. Yeah, he's going back. It's not new. This is 4 games in a row. Well. Maru uses the line of fire to kill off the creep tumor on the low ground. Magfield Accelerator in production. But Reynor, honestly, it's less your actual build and more mentally preparing for the mech. It's a different style. You can't just chase down the army every time. Kind of got to go back and forth. But if you do catch it, it's much more meaningful than catching a group of Marines. Like, picking off a couple Cyclones and Hellions is a lot more investment than a medevac with Marine. The 4th hatchery, though, definitely not something he wants to give up so easily. Taking a lot of damage, forced to cancel, immediately rebuilt by the delay. Roach speed is on the way, and the dance will continue. Magfield Accelerator is done, but you don't want to commit the lock-on to the hatchery until you know you're out of range of the roaches. Burrow on the way. So that's how Reynor has decided to deal with this. Is the burrow. We saw that in game 1. We see that again here. The burrow to help break the lock. Barracks Lord bumbling in. So far, Reynor has shut this down pretty easily. Locks onto the hatchery, though, and the Cyclone's going to do a lot of damage unchecked. Not quite taking it out, but it's already softened up. The scan. Just because you can see up to the high ground doesn't mean you can see the creep tumors. But another Overlord going to be taken down. Reynor supply blocked. A few more popping out. Roach speed is done, and with the help of creep, he can actually chase down the clones. So now Maru has to play it a little safer. Infestation pit on the way, and that's pretty early. I mean, infestors are good. What we haven't seen is swarm hosts. Now, against Hell Clones, swarm hosts are of questionable veracity. As one mediocre wave, it's a lot of supply and a very micro-intensive. Not that roaches aren't, but roaches aren't effectively useless for 2/3 of the time. So, as much as I'd like to see swarm hosts, it doesn't really feel like Reynor's kind of style. And I'm not sure how good they actually are against Hell Clones because they're way too much effort for me to use against this tomfoolery. Oh, I love it. The burrowed roach trap. Who does it? He puts it so far onto the other side. He has to know there are more roaches out there. Burrow move is on the way as well. So he's not completely tied to this area. But as soon as roach speed completed, Maru clearly backing off. Going to try to sneak in on the other side. Is he going to bother with burrowing? There's 2, 3, 4 siege tanks alongside the command centers. Oh, he's going to do the... Is it going to work? I choose to believe he doesn't... He's big game hunting here. And the Hellions are not juicy enough. Like, killing 5 or 6 Hellions and giving away your burrow move roaches, just not worth it. He's gonna get underneath. He's gonna give them away now, but it was only a matter of time till they got scouted. Vipers in production. 1-1 on the way. +1 vehicle, weapons, and plating. The roach is obliterated. But, costs a scan, delays the base, but yet another command center is flying on down. Wow. Now that's a Factorial production line. Is he pre-ghosting? 3 tech labs on the way. Does he have a Ghost Academy? This time around, Maru's just speed running to the Super Turtle Terran endgame. Wow. He's not bothering with brawling it out. Instead, he's going to build the Terran army. Ghosts, siege tanks, well-upgraded mech, and will he get Liberators? Because the Liberators were missing in Game 1. They're kind of a stylistic choice, but I'd argue you need at least a few of them in order to really bring the whole sort of unbreakable Terran tower defense composition together. Reynor actively not unburrowing for the Hellions, giving him a false sense of security. Well, Spine Crawler's here. We'll slow down the Hellions. They'll incinerate some drones beforehand. Huh. Surprise, mother... He'd had enough. Alright, grabs the Hellions, knocks him out. Reynor, with a massive bank, a nuclear missile, is in production. Ghosts, Thors, more CCs than a poorly formatted corporate email chain. A Spire on the way. Banelings, melee attack, blinding cloud. No, abduct. He tries to abduct them into a blinding cloud. It doesn't quite nail it, but the engineering bay might be taken out. And Reynor comes swinging in. The Ghost will strike back with some volley fire on the snipes. Blinding cloud on 3 tanks. They can't see anything in this fight, and they can't shoot at it. 22 SCVs dead, but Reynor has grabbed his entire half of the map. And I don't think he's gonna let go very easily. Maru. I think, therefore I am, but may have made a mistake in letting Reynor macro. Was it? I think that assessment is correct as well. Letting. Maru could have tried to go back and forth with the Hell Clones. Maybe it would have worked, maybe not. But he made the active choice to build up back at home. And now Reynor has 5,700 minerals and 2,400 gas in the bank. He's trying to trade out his roaches. I'm sure he'll build some corruptors potentially for great... No, he's like reflexively building Zerglings. He wants to get rid of these roaches. Meanwhile, another attack over to the left side. The orbitals lift, the planetary not so much. 11 SCVs dead. Reynor has both corners. 62 lings on the way. Oh no, the Vipers! Ooh, that's a bit costly. Loses a couple Vipers with plenty of energy, but overall, a great success. No Zergling! Slips out from underneath the rocks. And that will break the blue minerals. They actually are just gone now. You could drop the rocks on the minerals and essentially cut the base in half. An interesting, I guess, feature, we'll call it. Another huge group of Zerglings, but this time, Reynor's just running him around. Game 1 was back and forth like a seesaw. This is more one-sided than a Mobius strip right now. Greater Spire nearly completed. +3 vehicle weapons and armor on the way, +2 infantry armor, and +1 attack, just for the ghosts. Which, you know, probably well worth upgrading, but he's trying to abduct, but the rocks are too large, so he can't actually find it. It just gives you an error message if you try to abduct in the wrong spot there, which is unfortunate, but loses several of the Vipers. But we know Reynor can play this supreme late game. We saw it, and we saw it under heavy duress. Now he has like a theoretical unit tester level of resources. He can throw armies away just to see what wins in the YouTube short with way too much supply that people take very seriously for some reason. It's like, well, I don't know, will 300 siege tanks or 1,000 Zerglings win? This is 5 times as much as you can have in a single game. But I'm going to have a serious balance debate in YouTube short comments, which is totally worth it. Anyways, speaking of unhinged, a fusion core is on the way. Meanwhile, the Zerglings are overrunning the tanks, and the northern bases are under fire. The Zerglings will be thinned out by the fire from the Hellbats. The planetary fortress trying to hold. It won't be enough. The Roaches and the Ravagers chew through it. A Thor barely survives. And Maru will eventually drive the Zerg army back. But 90 more Zerglings on the way. +3 melee attack and ranged attack as well. Not a single Carapace upgrade even in production for Reynor, which really defines his playstyle in general. Liberators in production for Maru, but he's not maxed out, he's not banking money, and if Reynor keeps this up, he won't have any mining either. Maru won't. It was a little ambiguous, that sentence, but the Lings and Banes rolling in again. Not so many Banelings, they're a massive economic drain, but 30 Banelings is still, requires a significant amount of respect. More than enough to roll through the ghosts. 3-3 attack. Now completed. Whoa, corrosive bell's hitting the camera. Hope we have insurance. Doubt it. The Vipers leading the charge. Can yank in a blinding cloud on the Thors. Maybe not the ideal choice. The Baneling's getting tripped up. Some Ravagers from the north. This fight, well, he's gonna kill a lot of SCVs. 80 more Zerglings for Reynor. I apologize, but we're going to go to the Reynor cam for a moment. I want to see him, how he injects those hatcheries. Well, he's running out of larva. He has the money, he just can't spend it in time. Oh my. The Spine Crows is just going to... Nuclear launch detected! He heard it, right? He's looking. He's looking. Where is the nuke? Where is the nuke? Did Maru just fire it off? He may have fired it off at that base. Oh, whoa! It seems like either Reynor knew or there were no drones at that base. I'm not sure which one, but a few seconds later, he would have transferred directly into it. Meanwhile, one Liberator drawing a lot of attention. See, that's what I'm talking about. And the Corrosive Biles will obliterate it. Ain't no kill like overkill. 7 SCVs dead. Siege tanks overrun. Another wave of Corrosive Bile knocks down the Liberator. Advanced ballistics on the way. Burrowed Zergling gonna deny the 3 o'clock base as Maru tries to withstand the onslaught. But the Zerg keep coming and they don't stop coming. 50 more Zerglings in production. Building armor only just now started. The Zerglings are absolutely everywhere. And Maru can't seem to put his units in place in time to deal with them. Not surprising, considering Zerglings are the fastest ground unit in the game. Well, fastest unit, actually. I guess besides the teleporting battlecruiser, but the medevac's driven back. It's just siege tanks on their own, which can be picked apart rather easily. Reynor, he does have a greater spire, and I applaud his restraint in not building an ultraless cavern, because I can't think of a worse time to build ultras than right now, up against maximum upgrade siege tanks with already a dozen ghosts underneath. But an infestor in production. Reynor is playing to win. He knows eventually he has to break the ghost ball, and doing it with conventional Lings, Banes, and thoughts and prayers might not be enough. Having 1 or 2 infestors may be exactly what he needs to break the Terran once and for all. 1 infestor to unburrow, and from the darkness, hold them down and bind them. And Serral Fester. More SCVs dead. Maru starting to bank a bit of money. But Reynor's 6k, 6k. Maru has maxed out, though, and he's trying to get some counter-aggression. That means he's giving up the base to the north, though. A base trade, which Reynor has so much in the bank, but giving up mining locations could come back to bite him. We'll have to see how it plays out, as it's unclear at this stage. One hatchery down, a whole bunch of drones burrowed in the corner. Another planetary could be overrun. Maru backing off. He killed 3 bases, though. Didn't get too many drones, 11 in total. But Reynor will take out, well, looks like about 3 bases as well. Gets 31 SCVs. Maru has rebuilt most of his units. A Hellbat Trop. Now that's a nostalgic one. With Incinerated Queen. Working on the drones now as well. Actually surprisingly hard to deal with for the reinforcements. The Hellbats just lighting up the hatchery. Maru trundling around the map with that massive mech army, but his army supply is 136 to 116. Reynor does not have neural parasite. These Hellbats will not die. 30 kills. Oh my. It's a massacre. 41 kills between them. A lot of them drones. Finally, one of the hero Hellbats goes down. A parasitic bomb will be required to take out one of these, but actually a lot of supply dipping here for Reynor. As his mineral bank starts to drain, he doesn't have nearly as many mining locations, but the SCV's on the run. A surprising amount will make it away from the base that just got completely annihilated by the Ravagers and Lings, but the Infestor is following the army. Turn it, turn it. Hello? Turn it, turn it. Hello? I feel like this is gonna end unceremoniously, but he needs the fungal on the ghost. A scan right now could completely screw this entire opportunity. He needs to stop the ghosts. Reynor does not have the larva. He's trying to switch into Broodlords. Maru. Where did the Infestor go? It died. Yep. It just kind of died. Oh, that was anticlimactic. Reynor has rebuilt all 3 bases he lost, but he's exhausted a significant portion of his bank. He's lost 8,000 more minerals. He's mined 8,000 more minerals, but the army values heavily in favor of Maru. There is still a risk. Wow, getting +1 Carapace, 2 Infestors, and 10 Broodlords. That's quite a spread. 5 Infestors now, as Reynor realizing that mineral digit count is getting uncomfortably low. Another Liberator machine gun down. But the Broodlords! There are 11 ghosts, that's it. That is the entirety of the anti-air. They do have Cloak. There's 1 Infestor that is desperately... That was not a great fungal. It may be good enough. The Broodlords are unleashed. Maru needs to get something done here, though. Even with the Broodlords overhead. He can't really afford to go... Well, if he goes back, it's not going to get any easier. Reynor is grinding through them. It's been costly, but he's mined so much more. Get over here. Wow. So many Broodlings. The Orbital Command will burn. The hairdryer pops out. Hellbats are pretty good at mitigating the Broodlord damage, but at some point you need to actually kill them. With some Banelings mixed in. He has no Banes, but he does have Roaches and Ravagers. Reynor has rebuilt a bank. This is what happens. You let Reynor macro. Ultra love. Maru kept the pressure on. almost the entire game. Reynor still scratched out a victory. But here, we played almost build order simulator for 8-10 minutes. And Reynor built up the bank, has all of the tech. And Maru is getting increasingly desperate with an incredibly powerful army, but no money in the banking supply blocked at 172 over 156. At some point, there's going to be no home to go back to. Technically, in order to win a game of StarCraft 2, you must destroy all your opponent's buildings. Very rarely does it come down to that. But the exact same amount of upgrades. No neural parasite, though, for Reynor. May end up coming back to bite him. 11 ghosts, 4 Vikings. Maru has 0 mining, which is not very much. Some changelings. He drops down another orbital command. Reynor managed to grab another base. This is just... I feel like they're exhausted. Both players. Even Reynor, who's used to playing at a 666 average APM. Make of that what you will. Reynor will make a whole lot of Zerglings is what he'll do. Maru at nearly 500. While playing Mech, though, that's kind of underselling it, let's be fair. It really does feel like both players are really tapped out here, though. We've been just slogging back and forth. This is the 4th game now, well over an hour in. But Maru coming forward. Blinding cloud on so many of the tanks. The banelings rolling in, but not able to catch enough of the ghosts. Broodlords lining up the snipes. But the siege tanks actually unsiege to prevent the Broodlords from... well, the Broodlings from obliterating the ghosts. I don't think he has enough anti-air. Well, the Vikings... if the Vikings win... it doesn't matter, though. In the end. With 100 supply down, the Broodlords are just too much. Maru trying to wiggle his way out of the death grip, but Reynor eventually closes in. And despite losing 3,000 more resources, 800 Zerglings. Wow. Another brutal game. And the series is all tied up 2-2. These two so evenly matched. Maru's methodical mech against Reynor's reckless Zerg. I like how you can so clearly tell that Reynor wants to play this mid-game Zerg style, but he's like, no, I have to make Infestors and Vipers, and I hate it so much, but I'll do it, and I hate it. I may be editorializing, but I don't feel like it's by much. Maybe I'm just projecting. I certainly hope so, otherwise it'd be hard to hear me. Game 5. Maru in the top right has racked up 2 decisive victories. Reynor in the bottom left has ground through 2 arduous, tenacious, and comprehensive survivals. I guess that last game was a much more clear demonstration of what happens if you just let Reynor go. Game 1 was certainly on the closer side of things. But, well, you made it this far. Thank you for watching. Thank you to EWC for putting on a great tournament. All the recommendations. I very much did not spoil myself. I know these games, no matter what, are going to be great, but based on the recommendations of you, the people, the most breathtaking, genius, smart viewers and commenters who always like and subscribe and have already done so and aren't being woken up an hour and a half into the video to be reminded of it because they're on autoplay. No. Not that. No, thank you. I mean, to be honest, was I going to skip Maru versus Reynor? But that's not the point. Okay. It's a matter of how hard we're going to sell it. No. Thank you for watching. Okay. Reset. Both players. It's going to be 2 Rax Reaper. What a great bookend to build. Will Maru make it happen yet again? Or will we finally see a bio build to mix it up? It all comes down to how much Maru is able to get done early. Game 3, Maganatha was Reynor very much, I don't know what he expected to accomplish with that. Even against like a standard Hellion Banshee build, that was a bit optimistic. I guess the Queen drop would have gone better. But, Reaper getting all up close and personal. It's actually going to be more. Wait, he canceled the 4th Reaper. Gonna build one factory behind. He actually forces the drone to live its life out as a damaged extractor, which we've all been there. No, that doesn't make any sense, but, you know, solidarity. Reapers, this base, slightly further out. A little bit harder for the Queens to actually... He's going to have to do it. Yeah, the hatchery's going to be canceled. That is unfortunate. Brenda, shouldn't the Reapers be canceled because of all their harassment? Susan, this is a Blizzard game. That's pretty... up, Brenda. Yeah, it is, Susan. Yeah, it is. Alright. 2 engineer... Really? Game 5. There's no real blind countering the mech build. As we've already seen Reynor's kind of attempt at it. But knowing it's coming, and the same goes for Bio, knowing that it's going to be a bunch of Marines, a bunch of dudes with drugs, guns, and a kind of inordinate hatred of illegal aliens. Well, the Terran's always making me feel right at home, but knowing that and kind of mentally preparing is a big part of kind of setting up your counterattacks, your upgrades. Carapace much more effective against Marines and tanks than it is against Hellclones. We'll see if that's the priority for Reynor. Indeed it is. He doesn't know for sure. Well, we saw the tech lab upgrading the... It's not that hard. Okay, I'm making it sound much more mysterious than it is. He saw the tech lab upgrading on the barracks. That's... And he comes back and again he sees a starport, which Maru only builds for bio or to heal his ghosts. Wow, there's already an armory on the way. It's going to be a disgustingly fast upgrade set here. But Reynor is finally dealing with the strategy that he's probably practiced way more against. We'll see if it's enough. Lair's on the way. 5.5 minutes. Relatively late, but usually you want to delay your lair as much as possible in order to get as many drones before bringing your tech online. So, Reynor going to be pretty happy with it. There's no banshees to poke. He doesn't need detection. Baneling speed, definitely something that should be quick on the agenda. This is going to be 1-1 Marines with medevacs and stim, which... as well as the armory for the Hellbats to combine in. Hellbat pushes alone. I am well documented. I'm a Hellbat hater. Okay, Hellbat push hater. Hellbats need to be respected. And I feel like Maru has put more respect on the Hellbats than anyone else this entire year in this series. And this is going to be a very dangerous push. 2 upgrade advantage. Hellbats to thin out the Lings. The reinforcements can be intercepted by the Zerglings. Well, Reynor's up 13 drones, which is not necessarily a good thing here. That means he doesn't have much in army. The drones have to run. The hatchery under fire. The Carapace upgrade 5 seconds out. He's really trying to wait on it. Banelings, roll it in. The hatch goes down. And, don't expect some of us in the wreckage, brothers. He leaves the army to die. Reynor double expanded. 1 hero Marine. I think was already knocked out at this point, but still. 5 bases. What's the damage? Losing the hatch hurts a lot. That is... But Reynor did expand preemptively. He knew it was coming. He mitigated it by double expanding. But Maru is already halfway done with 2-2. He's going up to the Octo-Rex. I don't think Maru is going to be huge on the SCVs either. Does he have a second factory? No. It's just mass marine production. Baneling speed is halfway done. But Reynor's going to be working off of 5 hatcheries, which is quite good for the Ling Bane style. No infestation, but Burrow is on the way. +2 Carapace as well. Quantity has a quality all its own, and Reynor's certainly going to be embracing that style. Marines will drop out. Get pulled back in as that did not go well. 12 Marines at a time. Maru has stopped SCV production. The full Octo-Rex parade push is marching across, well, will be marching across the map. I'm actually not sure why he hasn't moved out yet, but there's no... Yeah, he's going to have 2-2 done. Pulls the siege tanks. There's going to be Baneling mines out on the map. And that could be the saving grace. Baneling mines, a bit of a risk, a very high APM move to actually nail them. But one good Baneling mine could turn the entire series upside down. This is a very dangerous push, Reynor. It's obvious to us, but maybe not Mar. Oh, he spots it. Okay, well. That scan, just incidentally spotting the mine. A few down the center. But now Maru knows about him. He's already got 3-3 on the way. And Reynor doesn't even have an infestation pit to go up to Hive. He's got to crush this push. He has to crush it. He can't gently caress it to death. He can't even smother it. It must be crushed. He's not going to fall for it. He's not going to fall for the mines. They're scanned again. Really trying to wait out the +2 Carapace here. It's a 2 upgrade advantage otherwise, which is just too much. The rocks could be taken. Ooh. The Banelings rolling in. Cuts off a few of the Marines. Huge counterattack, but shuts the door at the last second. Reynor has committed so much. A few Banelings trickle in. But the fire and fury will continue. The hatchery is taken down for the second time. Most of the Marines on the other side of the map. The orbital command will lift before being taken down. So many Zerglings committed to Maru's side of things. The drones on the run. The siege tanks moving forward. It's not going to get much easier for Reynor. He needs to bring the Zerglings back. Cutting off the reinforcements is good, but the standing army. The Zerglings are sprinting back home. It isn't... He's still up 30 workers. If he can destroy this push. Cutting off the reinforcements, another siege tank will be dismantled. 3-3 upgrade still pretty far out. Reynor, once again isolated to either side. The drones might be able to mine again. He actually... he just keeps losing bases. The Zerglings ran back across and got into the natural. There's a couple Banelings. That be something? He runs by. 5-6 Marines. But he needs to stop the push. +3 infantry weapons is about to complete. Reynor scrambling. But Maru doesn't even care about his... Maru truly doesn't care about his economy. Lands it to the side of the Burrowedlings. And he continues marching forward and tearing through the defenses. Maru, in his first game with the Marines and tanks, might make it a decisive one. Reynor has one last fight. The Banelings roll in. They don't close the distance. The Queens try to take out the tank. They'll be taken down in turn. The reinforcements have arrived. There's enough back at home to keep them coming. And Reynor is out of real estate. There's nothing left. One of the most dramatic seesaw series I have ever seen. But Reynor is forced to tap out. Maru survives and wins the series 3-2. A heartbreaker for Reynor. Clearly a difficult set of games. Maru keeping the pressure on all but one game, and we saw the result of that. 4 mech games in a row. I do think the Ultra Love game was kind of a spontaneous decision. The others, a clear plan. Reynor, unable to outrun the impending attacks and his demise, at least this time around. But one of the most evenly matched series and opponents. I do think they're ranked like within 1 or 2 of each other, but still, that means the ranking's working. What a slugfest. And I hope you enjoyed as much as I did. Thank you for watching. If you got the means and motivation, you also check out Patreon, YouTube membership. And I hear liking and subscribing is still free, at least for now. So, thank you to our mule patrons for bringing in the extra middles. Big Jiggy, Devin, Door, Kate, Mario, Random Guy, Suit. Very glad you still enjoyed, everyone. And I certainly hope I made your day just a little bit better. Congratulations to Maru. Keep recommending me your favorite games that you're willing to watch again. You made it this far, so thank you. I hope to see you next time. Good luck. Have fun. Thank you for watching. Stay chill.